So the United States of America is about to host the biggest sporting event on the planet. And I genuinely think that half the country, if not more, still thinks it's just a big soccer tournament. It's not. I've lived in the UK for a few years now. I grew up in the United States. I know how we talk about soccer or football back home. And I know what football actually means over here in the UK as well as the rest of the world. So today I want to talk to you about what is genuinely coming, because I don't think that most of my fellow Americans are ready for it. First, let's just talk about size. Okay, so the Super Bowl is America's biggest sporting event, right? It is enormous. Lots of people watch it for various different reasons. And the last Super Bowl had, I think, around like 120 million viewers in the United States. Pretty substantial. World Cup final, though, the last time they had it was 2022. Over 1 billion people watched it. Billion. With a B. Yeah, roughly 1 in 8 people on Earth were watching the same match at the same time. When you compare the numbers, the Super Bowl definitely pales in comparison. This year, it's being hosted across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. 11 American cities in total. The final just happens to be at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, which I'm very excited about just because, you know, New Jersey. For those of you who don't know, that's where I grew up. And there's something kind of nostalgic and a little bit of pride that comes with the fact that realizing that the world is literally coming to New Jersey. But here's what I didn't fully understand until I moved to the UK. In the United States, we treat sports as entertainment. And that's great. There's nothing wrong with seeing it that way. I love that. For me, it is entertainment. I have fun watching it. The Super Bowl is more like a party. I never really cared about the game. It was just about getting together with people, having fun, eating good food. It's an event that you just want to be a part of. Football, what United States natives call soccer, is something different in most of the world. It's not entertainment. It's more like identity. I've watched grown adults here cry over a match result because their country lost. There are countries where the streets genuinely empty during a World Cup game, where businesses close, where here in England anyway, I know pubs are open at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, where people who haven't spoken to their families in months call home just to watch it together. My first pub England game in a pub was definitely a day to remember, not like anything else. The tension in the room was different. The silence was definitely different. The celebration was even more amazing than I could have ever experienced live in the US. It felt less like I was watching a game and more like I was like anticipating and waiting for really big, exciting news. So let me put this simply. The Super Bowl is polished. It's very corporate. It's got a halftime show, celebrity sightings, commercials people watch on purpose, specific pre-game and post-game setups and formats. And I don't hate it by any means. I just think it's very genuinely American. The World Cup is much more chaotic. It's emotional. The fans who've saved for like 4 years and flown halfway across the world just to participate in it. It's chants you can hear from like miles away, and it's people crying on the street whether they win or lose. People just genuinely schedule their lives around this event every 4 years. The Super Bowl, I guess I would explain it is as like the Super Bowl feels like an event that happens, where the World Cup feels like a world event. But here's the thing that I genuinely find fascinating about this moment. The United States is really big on exporting culture, right? The American culture is found in almost every country in the world on some level. We are really good at translating our culture out to other people. That's the honest truth of it. Hollywood, fast food, music, technology, social media, celebrity culture, whatever's going on in the United States, usually the world has some kind of adaptation to America. But during the World Cup, America adapts to the rest of the world. And that is super unique, and it must be an incredible event to be able to do that with the way America culture dominates sometimes. Host cities are really feeling it. Local governments have been planning for years about fan zones, infrastructures being, recalibrated and rerouted. Jobs are on the line. Hotels have been sold out for months. And fans from Brazil, Argentina, Germany, South Korea, Nigeria, they're all booking flights to come to American cities to experience this event. They're bringing their flags, their drums, their chants, their entire emotional history and connection to this sport. And a lot of Americans are going to step outside and go, what the hell is happening? I'm not mocking, but I also honestly do believe that this is probably one of the best things that could happen to the United States and Americans as a whole. Look, I'm not going to deny that soccer is definitely growing in the United States, genuinely growing. The youth game, the kids game has evolved tremendously since I was a kid. Younger audiences are definitely into the World Cup and the international game. The MLS is bigger than it ever was, and a lot of Americans absolutely know that what the World Cup is, and they are incredibly hyped, and genuinely so. But there is a disconnect. There's people that are still going to be good people, sports fans, that are going to turn on the news in a couple weeks and say, oh, is that happening now? People who do know about it, most of them, not all of them, but I'd say at least half of them, are probably still not as emotionally tied to the game as the rest of the world is. I was one of those people for a really long time. I never watched soccer or football until I met my partner, and I barely acknowledged the World Cup when it was around in 1994. I genuinely think that if you let yourself get curious about it, even just a little bit, it might be one of the coolest things you've ever experienced. I remember during one of the World Cups, don't ask me which one it was, but there was a game where America played England. We had a little party with the British people and the American people. Watching the British people react to the goals or the lack thereof was an absolutely incredible and unique experience. And I just remember being around my American family and friends, just looking at them and staring at them, wondering why they were running around with flags as capes and chanting and screaming and singing. And then watching them yell and scream at the TV when the players did not do what they're supposed to do and calling them disgraces to their country. What's coming isn't just a tournament. It's 48 nations, 39 days, millions of international visitors, and the single most watched sporting event in human history. And it's happening in your backyard. It's literally happening in my backyard. And I'm not there to see it. I probably wouldn't be able to afford to go see it anyway. I genuinely think that if you let yourself get curious enough about it, even a little bit, it might be one of the coolest things that you've ever experienced. Because for once, the entire world is in the same place at the same time. And this year, this World Cup, that place, partly at least, is in the United States.
Mind the culture gap, y'all.